What's up guys, it's John with GoWesty. In this video I'm going to show you how to replace that handle on your van using a new one like this that we sell on our website. The first thing you want to do is grab a Phillips head screwdriver and undo the screw that's right here in your van. This is going to involve removing quite a few small parts, so you'll want to make sure you have a nice clean workspace. After you pull the old gaskets off the handle, locate the spring pin in the end of the cylinder and use a small punch and hammer to drive it halfway out. Once the pin is halfway out of the cylinder end, you can use a pair of pliers to pull it the rest of the way out. Put the pin aside and remove the actuator end from the cylinder. Be aware that there is a small spring under the actuator that also needs to be removed and set aside. Insert your key into the cylinder and push it out from the handle housing. Unless you are rekeying the lock, it is safest to keep the key in the cylinder. The reason for this is that each cylinder has 7 different tumblers in it, each tumbler under load of a small spring, trying to push it out from the cylinder. When the key is inserted, the tumblers are brought into alignment with the outer surface area of the cylinder. If the key is incorrect, the tumblers stay proud of the cylinder in the handle and don't allow the lock to operate. You can, however, clean the cylinder and tumblers fairly well with the key still inserted. Put the cylinder aside for now and move on to disassembling the rest of the handle. Remove this Phillips head screw and the plate that holds it into the handle, and now the release lever can be removed. The release lever is actuated by a spring on a pin that seats into the handle, which can be disassembled as well. Note the way that the spring is oriented on the pin in the release lever, as you'll need to reassemble it the same way into the new handle. If you have new handles, you can disassemble them the same way. You can use the new handle springs and hardware, but now is a good time to thoroughly clean the lock cylinder. You can remove the key for this process if you wish, however it's safest to leave it in the cylinder. Assembly of the door handle is reverse or removal, starting with the release lever. I like to use a small amount of white multi-purpose grease on both sides where the pin seats into the handle. Assemble the pin and the spring into the lever in the orientation shown, with the spring's leg facing the cylinder and exiting outboard the lever. You'll need to compress this leg a bit as you set the lever down into the handle. With the lever properly installed into the handle, I apply a small amount of grease to the spring and fasten the assembly down with the cover plate and Phillips head screw. Be sure the lever is operating properly and we can move on to the lock cylinder installation. Before installing the nice clean lock cylinder into the handle, I like to put a bit of extra fine graphite powder into the tumblers to keep them operating smoothly. Insert the cylinder into the handle, give it a few twists to make sure it's turning correctly, and remove the key from the cylinder. Install the small spring on the end of the cylinder in the orientation shown. From this view, the leg closest to the handle needs to be set on the bottom of the tab in the handle, and then preloaded by winding the other leg up and over the top of that tab so that the legs cross over each other. This is what returns the cylinder to neutral when the key is removed. The actuator can be installed back onto the end of the cylinder with the tab registering between the legs of the springs as well. With this properly assembled, you can drive the pin back into the end of the cylinder assembly. Test the key function in the handle and we can install it back into the van with new gaskets, reverse of how it was removed. So with our handle reinstalled in the van, you're going to want to take your key, if you rekeyed it, and make sure that it works in the cylinder of the handle. If your key works, then you're all good and it's done.